Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing this week's Midweek Magic Event, which is Momir. If you've never played Momir before, everybody has a deck of just basic lands. The only way to actually cast spells, the only way to play creatures, is to use the Factory of Momir Vig. So each player can use this thing. You spend X mana, discard a card, and create a token that's a copy of a random creature with mana value X. You do that once per turn, so each player just kind of works their way up the mana curve, and we see who can get the best creatures along the way to have the better board state and win the game over time just via regular combat. So pretty random, pretty chaotic format, but it is a fun time. They always bring it around for these midweek magic events now and then, so it's always going to be free. You're going to get a random rare reward for your first 2 wins, as well as a free mystery cosmetic for your third. So I do like to hop into these events as a personal fan of random chaos like Momir. So we're going to be doing that again this time around, playing until we get our 3 wins, having a nice little change of pace from all of the competitive events you got to spend a bunch of money on, throw a bunch of gems at, and hope to actually play well. Today, it's all for fun. So without further ado, let's hop into the gameplay. Alright, here we are on the play for game 1. I'm going to skip over 1-drops here. There are multiple ways you can choose to play Momir. You can just curve out right from the start if you want to, but you do have to consider that every turn, ideally you want to play a land and discard a card towards the Factory of Momir Vig, whereas you only draw 1 card a turn, so that's spending 2 cards, which means if you start from turn 1, you are going to run out of cards quicker than if you start later, which means you won't get to as high mana values, if that makes any sense. Because you're spending 2 cards a turn every time you discard something. So if you start on turn 1 on the play, you're going to make it to 6 mana value creatures, but if you wait till turn 3, you get to make it all the way up to 8 mana value creatures when you stop playing stuff. Now you can still start from turn 1 and just try to aggro people out. Like, it's a random chaos format, go for it. There are some pretty good 1-drops, but most of them are going to become completely irrelevant later in the game anyway. So it does make a little bit of sense to hold off so you can try to get to higher mana values and get to more impactful creatures when you run out of cards. Try to be in the position where you keep playing an 8-drop every turn while your opponent's maybe only playing a 7-drop or a 6-drop. Stuff like that is a way to play it out for sure. This is a really nice ability, this Urza. If we get a pretty good artifact creature with like a really good ability, then we can use that to double it up. It will just be a 1/1 the copy that we make, but if it has a good enough ability, then that's going to be good anyway. I'll trade Karavak into the Nightblade here. I guess I also just trade into the 2/2, but as long as the Nightblade's around, the 2/2 has Death Touch, which means that the Trampler can't get in or anything either, so I think trading off the 3/3 just to get some room to send in bigger stuff is pretty nice. If they get a black mana here, they could just play a 4-drop and then give this thing Death Touch if they want. And they do not have a swamp, so they just play a 5-drop. And that is going to be a Reach 3/5. Actually pretty relevant in Momir, because flyers are some of the best cards you can hit, just evasive threats because everyone is playing a creature every single turn, so finding ways to break through a big board state is pretty large. And because of that, I'm just going to get rid of the Reach creature in case I can find some flyers, but Kogla is obviously an incredible hit here. No real reason to attack with Urza here, other than that there's no reason not to. I guess Urza might be an okay blocker if they end up getting a really good haste card. But Kogla's already blocking. Oh boy! Oh boy. Alright, well, these two can still attack into that and they trade at worst. Those are large numbers, but we're fine with that Yargle and Multani. Ooh, Shieldred is gross. Yeah, there's the concession from our opponent. Shieldred's super, super gross. Lagged out a little bit trying to get the attacks in, but anyways, Shieldred not only going to be impossible to block if they play a swamp, actually lucky enough they hadn't played one till now, but her ability is ridiculous. We're not going to be able to reanimate any creatures from our graveyard during our upkeep, but we're still going to have, well, our opponent is still going to have to sacrifice a creature during their upkeep every turn, which is really, really rough in a format where you can only realistically play one creature per turn because you're only allowed to use the emblem once per turn. So unless they hit creatures that come with additional tokens or something like that, Shieldred just kind of locks them out of the game. Really great luck on that one. Our 5, 6, 7 curve was ridiculous, and so we grab that victory and grab our first random rare reward. And it is going to be a rare from Dominaria United, which I have the full playset of everything, so it's going to be some gems. That's going to be a lot of my random rare rewards, but I'm super cool with it. Just a little more gems towards another draft in the future. Alright, game 2, we're on the draw this time around, so even if I start turn 1, we make it to 7 drops, but if our opponent doesn't start turn 1, we're not under any pressure now anyway. One of the simplest way to do things when you're on the draw is just kind of wait for your opponent and then start responding to them. You can let them choose the pace of the game. Again, it doesn't really matter. It's such a casual, just random chaos format that it's a lot of just overthinking when you want to start playing the cards, but part of the fun of it, trying to find the strat. Well, that's pretty good. We won the lottery on that one. They got a 2-2. Prowess doesn't work for them. And then we got a 2-3 with First Strike. They're both flyers, but the First Strike just completely wins that fight no matter what. Plus the 3 toughness, even if it didn't have First Strike. And that ability is incredible as well. Especially in Momir, where everyone's playing a creature every single turn. We're going to have plenty of cards to put counters onto, but there we go. All can change on a dime in Momir, and getting a 4-3 flying Vigilance has now blanked our Drana. We can't attack in, and we certainly can't block that, and the Vigilance means it's going to keep coming in. So, alright, back to the lottery here. See, that's not good for me. I mean, I guess it's fine. 4-3 haste, and they don't want to trade into their... they don't want to trade in with their only blocker that's big enough to trade in. Definitely not putting the counter on Drana here, because then we can't hold off the 2-2 flyer even. Alright, 5 drop from our opponent. It is Yargle, Glutton of Urborg, so there goes our Crocodile, probably. I imagine our 5 drop can trade into Yargle, so they'll just trade on blocks here, since Yargle won't be getting in anyway. Shoot. Yeah, we pass then. If I attack with this Crocodile and they don't block, then I'm not going to have anything on board I want to block Yargle with, and I kind of have to block Yargle when it's 9 damage, so Crocodile will be our defense against Yargle. The 3-4 flyers are defense against the 4-3. Oh no, wow, the Subjugator Angel after they hit a 9 power creature, so they can send the whole board in. Not for lethal, but for a lot. Pretty terrifying. I would just send in the whole board. They'll still have 2 pretty big blockers up. But maybe they want to play it safe here and keep the 2-2 back. That is how things are looking right now. Nope. Yep. Alright, they are keeping the 2-2 back. Okay. We'll see if it matters. If we get like an incredible 6 drop with haste, then maybe holding the 2-2 back was relevant here. 5-5 flyer. Pretty great on blocks. We're down to 6 though, so I can't really send with anybody here. And their 7 drop now is 7-5 Menace Lifelink. Very, very big deal. The menace being the worst part for us, because our opponent is going to be attacking with 5 creatures against our 5 blockers. Menace means one of their creatures, no matter what, is going to get through. Because we'd have to double block that one and let probably the 2/2 flyer in. So, not as good a form of evasion as flying is, but still a very relevant, very powerful form of evasion. Okay, let's go mountain and get our own 7-drop. What do we got here? A 5/5 with no abilities. Well, that's quite a bit worse than the 7/5 Menace lifelink. Here comes an 8-drop from our opponents, and Sundering Titan, which wipes out 5 of our lands. That is game. Yikes. I guess, I mean, stranger things have happened. It's possible we get the most insane 3-drops ever for the rest of the game. It's quite unlikely, though. Well, that Sundering Titan's text box is all messed up, too. It doesn't have the power toughness box. You can just see the numbers there. 7, 10. If we ever kill the Sundering Titan, we end up with literally no lands left. I guess now that we know they have a Sundering Titan on board, we just start trying to play all swamps and mountains from here if we can. Like a swamp. I mean, I guess unless I hit card draw, I'm really doomed here. Because the only way to, like, get to higher mana values than 4 is to hit some kind of creature that draws me cards. Or to just stop playing creatures right now, which is not something we can do at 6 life. Okay, Cosima doesn't do anything, because we'd have to exile her. So that's just a 2/4. Here's another 8-drop. It's just an 8/8, luckily, so we could hit like a Death Toucher or something if we're really lucky. I guess I'm already dead, actually. I'm not dead on board, but I'm dead in the fact that, like, I have to just trump Sundering Titan. No attacks, though. Okay. Okay. Toying with their food a little bit, or just playing super safe. Gives us a tiny, tiny shot. Okay, that's just a 4/5. It makes your spells of whatever type you choose cheaper. But it's just a 4/5. Because we have no spells. Seven, 7 with no abilities. Yeah, they're hitting the bad 8-drops now, luckily. I cannot lose a flyer here. Lose a 5/5 though. Yeah, I guess they just really don't want to have to blow up some of their own lands. Come on, perfect 4-drop. Not terrible. Flying is something. I mean, if they just keep hitting 7/7s and 8/8s, which is almost 100% the chance at 8 mana, then this really doesn't matter. Oh, yeah, Vorinclex probably seals it. I mean, Sundering Titan was like the card that technically ended the game and gave them the win. The Vorinclex is the card that's going to literally do it. Because now they have infinite mana, and we play 1 card every 2 turns. If we somehow survive long enough, I suppose that at least that gives us an excuse to skip playing a card and work our way up the mana curve. So, like, I can play a card this turn, but then all my lands are stunned. So next turn, I just play the land that I draw, so that I can work up to a 5-drop the turn after that. Again, that's only if I somehow survive long enough, but there's Sling Gang for some chumps. That helps on that front. And if our opponents never played Momir before, they might actually misplay here and play a mana cost where there is no creature. Like 16. They go for 15? I believe there is a 15. Yeah. Earthquake Dragon, 10/10 Flying Trample. Yep. Opponent has definitely played Momir before. They know the exact mana cost to hit Earthquake Dragon. I think that's probably the only 15 drop. So if you have infinite mana, you know how to win in Momir now. 15 is the answer. And that should seal it, because I can't play anything next turn. I have 9 toughness in the sky against this, and that'd be if I double block that and let the rest in. Now things are over. I mean, I could play a 0-drop, but I'm not trying to get Ornithopter over here. The odds are, if you try to play a 0-mana spell in Momir, a 0-mana creature in Momir, that you're going to hit an X-mana one, where X equals 0, and it's just going to immediately die. Something like Stone Coil Serpent that gets X+1/+1 counters, or something like Ugin's Conjurant that gets X+1/+1 counters, any of those kind of cards. Be playing them at X equals 0, they would be a 0/0 with no +1/+1 counters, and you would die. 10-drop, just an 8/8 with no abilities. Yeah, like 8 to 10 mana, I have a lot of duds in there. I feel like 7-drops are like more consistent than 8-drops, but 8-drops do have some absolute bangers like Vorinclex and Sunring Titan. That's really like debatable where the best spots on the mana curve are. Alright, that is lethal. Opponent has found lethal by sending all of the flyers in, because I can't stack up enough to stop the trample here while still blocking these ones. So that is game. Let's see how much damage it is. Boom, -14. So we head into game 3. Let's change things up here. Let's go the full aggro route. See if we can get like a 1-drop Manador can get super lucky on this one. Nope, a 1/2 with no abilities. See, this is why you don't play 1-drops. Majority of the time, your 1-drops are going to be very irrelevant really, really quick. This one is kind of already irrelevant. But if you're feeling real lucky, sometimes... Well, they played a 0 by accident. If you're feeling real lucky, then sometimes you get Llanowar Elves turn 1, and then you live in Magical Christmas Land. Here I am playing around Sundering Titan this game. I'm like, well now, I don't want to play Forest, Silence, and Plains, but it's like, the odds of running into a Sundering Titan are very low. They specifically have to go to 8 mana, and then they specifically have to hit Sundering Titan, which is probably a 1 out of 20 at best. That's a 2/1 with no abilities. Oh, it does have an ability. It can buff itself up. Oh, let me see that hand. This card's abilities are irrelevant because it's never going to be better to play a 2-drop and put a +1/+1 counter on it than it is to just play a 4-drop at random. So that's why we're sending it all in and we're fine with the trade there. That's abilities are very relevant. Flying and lifelink, that is a fantastic evasive threat. I'm happy to have a 3/1 flyer, and I am just going to hold that back, because if I attack past that, then they attack past mine, and we lose that race, because we're basically dealing 0 to them. They're just nullifying all the damage that Paulo's doing here. What's this? Oh, tokens do have backsides now. So this can flip to the 6/4. So hitting any werewolves in Momir is actually very powerful because they will guaranteed flip to nighttime and then they'll never flip back to day because they flip back to day by somebody casting 2 spells in 1 turn. No one's going to cast a single spell in 1 turn. Ooh. Oh, it's just a 3/5 reach. Never mind. I thought it was cool, but it was not. It looks cool. Alright, pretty lucky to have this Guardian of the Forgotten here to just make sure the Rip Hook Raider doesn't matter. We just trade into it with our 4/4. Surprised they didn't take the trade, because they don't block, then I can just block theirs anyway. So the 6/4 doesn't matter. But maybe they're just planning on trying to get stuff out of the way and sending that in later. Alright, so because I played 1-drops, we stop at 6 mana here, but 6 drops can be pretty good. Well, that's lucky. The game that I'm playing around 7 toughness? Yeah, we can... No, this can't be blocked by power 2 or less. Never mind. That's lucky that the game we're playing around Sundering Titan and just playing Swamps and Mountains is the game we hit Nightmare, so it is actually alive. Actually decently sized. 3/3 flyer. Not great for 6 mana, but flying is a very relevant ability, so it's fine. Ooh. So the extra text doesn't do anything, right? Yeah, but it's vigilance, it's menace, it's a lifelink. That's a big one. Okay, that's an incredible hit. Any creature that bounces a creature is gross in this format, because you just kill it. It's a token, so it can't go back to the hand. It'll vanish into thin air. Blink itself out of existence. We're in a pretty good spot here. We have 5 flying power to just keep jamming in with. Alright, and our opponent just AFK'd through the turn. So it seems like they might have left for some reason or the other. So we'll just wrap this up with our flyers quick as we can. Alright, and there is the disconnect. We are now at our 2nd victory, grabbing our 2nd random rare reward, which is hopefully some more gems, but seeing a card would be cool too. It is mythic level gems. That's 40 gems. Let's go. Won the lottery on that one. Let's head back in there and grab our mystery cosmetic victory. Alright, here we are for what could be the final game. I'm going to go back to the traditional way of playing Momir. I'm going to start on turn 2 at the earliest here with what happened last game. I mean, we still won last game, but that was more because our opponent just kind of left. And we hit really good flyers too. Definitely did not have to do with us starting turn 1. Our 1-drop was a 1/2 with no abilities. Our 2-drop was basically a 2/2 with no abilities. They became pretty relevant pretty quickly. So we're going to start on turn 3 here. So we make it up to 8 drops. This time, our opponent starts on turn 2, grabs a 2/2. We found a menace card on turn 3, which is pretty nice. The extra text is what I'm reading here. It doesn't actually do anything in Momir. They just keep milling a card from our deck every turn, because our basic lands have no mana value, so they can mill them without even taking damage. So in traditional Momir on Magic Online, the way that you would usually play it is play nothing but Swamps and Mountains, because in terms of activated abilities that end up showing up on creatures, there are more activated abilities that require black and red mana that are relevant in Momir than anything else. because there could be red activated abilities that deal damage to creatures, or black activated abilities that give -X/-X, stuff like that. And those are the only abilities that are relevant, really, are like removal spell style abilities you can get from these colors. Plus, on Magic Online Momir, with the entire history of Magic the Gathering at your disposal, there are a lot of cards, not a lot, but there are cards with land walk and stuff like that, where if I have an island on the board, they have island walk and it's unblockable. If I have a forest on board, a forest walk, it's unblockable. So you just save the other lands unless they're specifically relevant to something that you've hit. But you preemptively play all the swamps and mountains, because statistically speaking, you're going to have to play at least 2 different land types when you're drawing them out of 5 different kinds at random. So if you're feeling like playing around Sundering Titan and not getting destroyed like it, or destroyed by it like we did in that one game, just in case, then swamps and mountains are the recommended lands to roll with. In control of a permanent and then give it back. Guess it's kind of the same either way here. Oh, that's not true. If I took the flyer, then I feel like it's better to not take the flyer, right? Because we want them to lose the flyer on blocks, but I don't really care if they lose the 0/1. Yeah, no, I think that's the better way to do it. Because everything on our board already trades into anything they block with at worst. Oh, that's a real good one, Mind Flayer. But as I've said many times, evasive threats are super, super relevant, so if we can get them to have to trade off the flyer, then that's pretty great. And if we steal the flyer and attack them with it, then obviously they can't, like, choose to attack with it. Yeah, Mind Flayer is a huge, huge hit in this format. Any creature that hits the board and is removal is already great, and that's a creature that hits the board, is removal, and is an additional creature. That's, like, super nasty. My mind is flayed. For sure. Wormcoil Engine. Speaking of super nasty, that card's incredible, and they cannot block here. So we put them to 5. I don't know what's going on with its power toughness box. Same thing that happened with the Sundering Titan. I guess the artifact tokens are not working right. The artifact creature tokens. Oops. I hit the wrong button. Supposed to take action. Yeah, I mean, obviously I want to just mill them here, but I just forgot which is which. Take action is to mill them. Decline is to give them the card. Alright, well, they get to slightly higher mana values. No, 6 power creature. Well, the Wormcoil is still pretty relevant here, still splits. Even if they kill it. That would be a wild attack. Is there anything that makes them want to lose a 2/2? No. They just want me to gain 4? The 4/4. Maybe it's just like glitched and they can't tell. That's probably what it is. They just couldn't tell its power toughness, which is kind of rough. Oh, look at all that life gain. Yeah, now I can certainly send in again. That's so weird. You can tell on this one. You can't tell on this. Strange. We have split the worm into its coils. Here comes the 7 drop. 7/7. So we're sending in the Death Touch and the 7/5 here. Ending of each upkeep, draw a card, lose one. Well, work our way towards 15 mana, get our 10/10 flying trample. Very smart blocks from our opponent, but we got a clear path. They're at 5. Just get these blockers out of the way. Eight drop from our opponent is another force. These cards are great. 3 to any target during the upkeep. So they get to kill our 3/3 lifelinker and get that out of the way. But we're probably going to trade 7/7s, and then it's just going to be gambling here. I'll go for a 9 mana card here. There's certainly some duds at 9 mana, but there's some duds at 8 mana, and there is a Zakama at 9 mana that's pretty incredible. And speaking of Zakama, getting a forest towards that would be good. 8, 9. Except that they're going to keep playing 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, they can get to 9 mana as well. They've got another card in hand. So they might not keep playing 8 drops where they could hit Sunring Titan. Whenever it attacks, fight a creature defending player controls. Ooh, we pass then. So I can kill the Magmatic Force without losing the card draw engine. Again, not that card draw is anywhere near as powerful in this format as it is in others, but still working our way up to 15 is kind of cool. Five, 7. And that's it. That might just seal the deal here. They get to kill the Tarask, because we fight Magmatic Force. And they block it with the 5/7, but then they chump the 7/7. There's Zakama. Alright, game's over. Let's go. Unless they hit removal for Zakama immediately. One thing our opponent could have done there was Magmatic Force the Tarask, so that if I wanted to fight the 7/7 away, we'd lose the Tarask the second it attacks, instead of also trading it into the 5/7. But, I mean, they're in a pretty awful spot either way. And then we could always choose not to attack with it. Delay things. Or... yeah, no, either way we would 2-for-1 them, right? Because then I could just fight the 5/7 in that position. I could do 9, I play the mountain. Yeah, our opponent is dead on board, though. So I am overthinking it. Nice quick concession from our opponent, because we could just attack with both of these. But I was going to say, I can play this mountain, and then I think I can quadruple shoot that. Do I have 12 lands? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. No, I'm 1 mana off from shooting that for 12. Zakama was the bane of Magic Arena Momir when it first got started. When they first started Momir on Magic Arena, this was the only 9 mana creature on Arena. Maybe not the only one. It was like one of 3 at worst, as far as I remember. So it was always a race to 9 mana, and you see who hits Zakama first. Because whoever hits Zakama first now completely controls the board with these abilities, mainly the deal 3 to target creature. Because then if your opponent ever taps out at 9 mana and tries to get their own Zakama, then you just tap 3 mountains and 6 other lands and kill their Zakama while all of their stuff is still tapped. So the first person to get Zakama would always win when Momir first came to Arena. So kind of a classic of Momir. All right, so that does it. That was pretty great victory there. We just got some really good creatures at the higher mana values up that curve. And now we get to grab our mystery cosmetic reward, which is just the Parallax card style for Treasure Dredger. One of the kind of most boring cosmetic rewards in my opinion, just because it's the most common cosmetic on Arena. Almost every single card has a Parallax card style, so there are thousands and thousands and thousands of these, versus like the showcase card styles or avatars or pets, stuff like that. There's a lot less of. I don't think I've ever gotten a pet in one of these, but I've gotten a high enough variety of cosmetics that I'm pretty sure you can get basically any kind of cosmetic. I've gotten an avatar, I've gotten card sleeves, I've gotten showcase card styles, but the vast majority of the time, just because of sheer numbers, just how many Parallax card styles there are, you're just going to get a Parallax card style like this one. So we ended off with quite a basic reward, but it was a completely free event. We still got, what, 60 gems out of it, alongside that card style, and we got to play some random Chaos Momir, which is always a good time, at least in my opinion. So not a bad day of Magic, but that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you're interested in seeing some more like it, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.